safe dose range. So with these, don't look too far into it. Sometimes these types of questions give you a little bit more than what's needed, and you're just trying to determine if the ordered dose is safe or not. So sometimes it'll give you, more than just the ordered dose. Let's say this. If, say, the ordered dose was, let's call it 150 milligrams to take by mouth, let's say every 8 hours. Sorry, that's terrible handwriting there, but every 8 hours. Sometimes it'll also give you, how the medicine comes, so what we have, it'll say, and it may not be, exactly written this way, but it'll tell you that the medication comes as, let's say, 200 milligrams per 5 milliliters. This is actually going to be extra information in this question most of the time if you're looking for just a safe dose range of whether or not it's safe. This is only applied if we are going to be asked, well, how much medication should we give? And that would be to use the D over H times Q formula, and it would simply just be the 150 divided by the 200 times 5. And that would tell us how much medication that patient would need. Now, if that's not the case, if that's not what we're being asked, then if it's just asking whether or not the medication is safe or not, then yes, this information is going to be just irrelevant information in this question. What we need to do is we look at the label for this medication, and the label will typically be what tells us what is the typical safe range for this medicine that the doctor has ordered. Because again, the doctor has said, okay, here's what this patient needs. I want to know if it's okay for my patient based on their weight. So let's say we look on the label, and the label says that patients can take 10 to 15 milligrams per kilogram each day. Okay, so there's our safe range, and because it says milligrams per kilogram, that means this is the safe range. And again, it's on the label, so it's for anybody who's taking this medicine. You just have to incorporate each patient's body weight. So let's say we have a patient that weighs, let's say, 65 pounds. So we know that for a patient who weighs 65 pounds, we need to first convert it into kilograms to figure out, because we need to figure out kilograms because, again, that label says milligrams per kilogram. So when I take 65 divided by 2.2, that tells me that this patient is 29.5 kilograms. So what that means, since this is the exact same thing as 29.5 kilograms, there's a point there, what I'm going to have to do to determine now this patient's safe range. This says that on the low end, according to this label, that on the low end, a patient can take 10 milligrams per each of those kilograms. So for a 29.5 kilogram patient, that's 29.5 times 10. That's what we'll do there. We're going to multiply that weight, and let me write that out. We're multiplying that weight by this number because that's going to tell us what the low end is for my patient. So that's 295 milligrams. That's the minimum dose that they can take. We're going to actually multiply that number also by the 15 because then that tells me what my patient can take on the high end. So 29.5 times 15 is 442.5. So this original safe range was just for any patient who's taking this drug, but we multiplied that weight by both numbers so that we could see what the specific range was for my patient. And again, remember that safe range was per day, so that means this is the range that my patient can take per day. So I go up to that ordered dose, which says that my patient was ordered 150 milligrams to take by mouth every 8 hours. Every 8 hours, remember, is 3 times in a day. So 150 times 3 is going to tell me what that would end up being in a full day. So, and I'm again, because the safe range is per day, that's why I'm having to compare it that way. 150 times 3 is 450. So this is what the doctor has ordered my patient to take in an entire day. That is much more than the maximum dose that my patient, based on their weight, should be able to take. Therefore, the doctor's order is not safe. So we would need to tell that doctor that they need a little bit less based on their weight. Okay, so I know that one that's kind of all over the place. But what I want to do is I want to take that exact same bit of information. So I didn't mean to erase all that. Let's undo that. Let's take that exact same bit of information, meaning that same drug, same order dose, and everything. So meaning that the order dose is 150 milligrams to take by mouth every 8 hours. Again, they gave us that irrelevant information as far as what we have. And then the label, again, since it's the same drug, has told me that the patient can take 10 to 15 milligrams per kilogram per day. But let's say we have a different patient. We have a patient who this time weighs 80 pounds. So we have a patient who's a little bit heavier now. So we're going to be able to see then what specifically they can take. And you're probably going to see where this is going because our smaller patient wasn't able to safely take this dose, but the bigger patient here will probably be able to. And let's see how we do that. Once again, I'm going to divide that number by 2.2 because I need to see what that is in kilograms. When I take 80 divided by 2.2, that gives me about 36.4 in kilograms. So here's what they weigh in kilograms. Again, the safe dose range says 10 to 15 milligrams per kilogram each day. So what we do is we simply multiply that number by both the 10 and the 15 to see what the safe dose range is specifically for my patient. So 36.4 times 10 is 364. And then 36.4 times 15, I need my calculator for that one, is 546. So here is what my patient can take in terms of milligrams per day. Again, we've eliminated this kind of general dose for everybody who can, everybody based on their weight, whether they're big, small, whatever. This is just kind of the generalized dosage, but we have now specifically figured that out for our patient who's 80 pounds. This is what they can safely take per day. So going back up to that original dose, remember 150 milligrams 3 times in a day is going to be a total of 450 milligrams in a day. That's what the doctor has ordered. Let's see where it falls in this safe dose range. It absolutely falls in the middle. So that means this order dose is safe because as long as it falls within this range, that makes it a safe dosage. And that's what we're looking for on these types of questions is that, and you'll pretty much do the same thing every time. You simply just take your patient's weight in kilograms, multiply it by both the low and the high end number where it says milligrams per kilogram. Pay attention to that end one where it says, per day or per dose. If it is per day, you're going to have to make sure that you look to see if the order dose is per day, and if you have to do what we had to do here and multiply it based on how many times a day that is. Looking at one more, let's just kind of, again, same idea, but I'm going to switch some things around. When I say switch some things around, I mean I won't make it the same exact numbers here. So let's say doctor has ordered a patient to take 50 milligrams of drug by mouth. How about every 6 hours? And we have a patient, again, according to this medication, we have a drug, it tells us what we have, but again, don't forget that is irrelevant information, so I'm not even going to leave that in there. Then we'll look on the label. Let's see. Then we'll look, sorry, I'm at my house right now and my dogs are getting on my nerves. All right, so my label says that anybody taking this drug can safely take anywhere from 5 to 10 milligrams per kilogram per day. So let's see. Let's say we have a patient who weighs, let's say, how about 26 pounds? Oh, I don't know, I was getting ready to write kilograms, I think. 26 pounds. Okay, so let's see if this ordered dose is safe for them. So for our 26-pound patient, 26 divided by 2.2, remember that's what we need to do to figure out what that is in kilograms. This means that this person is 11.8 kilograms. So once again, we're going to have to multiply by both ends of that range. 11.8 times 5 means that my patient can take, on the low end, and let me write this in green so I can see our specific range here. On the low end, can take 59 milligrams per day. On the high end, 11.8 times 10, remember we're multiplying by the 5 and the 10, is 118. So that means my patient can safely take 59 to 118 milligrams per day. So this is, again, and that's because it says per day. Well, going up to that order dose, they said to take 50 milligrams every 6 hours, which is 4 times in a day. 50 times 4 is going to be 200 milligrams in an entire day. Because our patient is so small, it looks like, here again, because they're so small, this is their safe range, according to that label. That doctor wasn't thinking and gave them too much medication. So because 200 is way over our maximum dose, this would not be safe for our patient to take. So the answer to that would be no. If this same patient was ordered, let's say the doctor says that they can take 50 milligrams by mouth instead, let's say it said every 12 hours. Well, 50 milligrams by mouth every 12 hours would be twice in a day, so 50 times 2 is 100 milligrams in a day. 100 absolutely does fall in that range because it falls between 59 and 118. Therefore, this would be safe. So that one would be okay. So it's just a matter of, again, simply just taking your kilogram weight, multiplying it by both ends, the high end or the low end and the high end of that safe range, just to see if it's safe for your patient to take. And then just double check to make sure that it's matching up, as it's most of the time the safe range is given per day, so you have to look at your order dose the same way. All right, Paulina, I hope that helps. Let me know.